Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. How political correctness is harming America. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Hard to believe how out of control this PC madness really is. Last night, we reported that a school district in North Dakota stopped children from singing the song YMCA because one of the village people who recorded the song dressed as a Native American. In Minnesota, colleges stopped a student exposition whereby a camel would come on campus to symbolize Hump Day, a diversion from exams. Why did the College of St. Thomas ban that? Because some students said that a camel disparages Middle Eastern people. Sometimes I feel like I'm on Saturday Night Live here reporting this stuff to you, but it's all true. There is a very serious undertone, however, to the politically correct mandates. First, PC wipes out dissent. If you criticize a minority, you're evil, even if the minority is doing something bad. Secondly, politically correct garbage gives left-wing America a point of attack. I know this firsthand. A few years back on the Radio Factor, I did a segment on my late grandmother, Winifred Kennedy Drake, who did not like black people, even though she never met one. She was that isolated. My grandmother feared African Americans because she watched the local TV news here in New York City, where many black criminals are on display. My grandmother did not understand that skin color does not define a person. She did not understand there are good and bad people of every race. So I tried to explain to my radio audience that we're all in this together as Americans, and we're essentially the same people no matter what color we are. I used the example of Sylvia's restaurant in Harlem where I dined, forgive me, with Al Sharpton. And I picked up the check as I always do. I said on the radio that Sylvia's was a great place, and the same or better than any other restaurant. There was no cultural difference. I was trying to illustrate that foolishness of generalized bigotry. Well, the vile Media Matters website immediately said I was condescending. And Sharpton, sometime later, parroted that, even though he knows it isn't true. Recently, I interviewed Kentucky basketball coach John Calipari, and I asked him how he handles his players if any of them behave badly, which is known to have happened. Calipari explained that his players are respectful to him because he gives them a roadmap to success. Question asked and answered. The next day, I'm accused of being a racist for even asking Calipari that question because many of his players are black. Do you see what's happening here? The left attacks, using minorities as the flashpoint. Now, if I were a minority, I'd be furious about that. I don't want anybody using me in dishonest attacks. It's long past time for Americans to stop accepting politically correct nonsense. You can't sing YMCA. You can't have a camel come on a college campus. You can't say a kind word about a black-owned restaurant if you're white. It's all so much bull. In fact, if I could get a camel in here, I'd put him right on the set. And that's a memo. Now for the top story tonight. Reaction. With us, Andrea Tantaros, a co-host of The Five, and Rich Benjamin, senior fellow at the liberal think tank Demos. All right, Mr. Benjamin, where am I going wrong here?
Well, Bill, you know, I love a sense of humor. People should have a sense of humor, but there's something different going on. We're in a different America, and I think a lot of conservative white people complain when minorities are giving valid pushback. And that's to be expected.
Like Sylvia?
So what you're calling
was that valid pushback that I can't recommend a restaurant and say it's pretty much the same as every restaurant, or I'm denigrating African Americans? That's pushback?
Now, Bill, I don't know the other side of that story.
There isn't any other side. Look at the transcript.
There has to be.
No, there's a transcript on the internet for 7 years.
But the bigger point is that what people are calling political correctness in most cases, not every case, but in most cases, is a valid pushback.
Right. Do you ever sing YMCA? Do you ever sing that song?
Yes, I have to admit I have.
Hey, I mean, you're disparaging Native Americans.
Well,
yeah, come on,
I'm in New York City.
Rich, it doesn't matter.
Bill,
you sing YMCA because that guy dressed up, there's a village person.
The context of YMCA in New York City is gay. In North Dakota,
are you disparaging gays?
It's Native Americans, and so not living as a Native American in North Dakota.
Now, just give me this. Just give me this. Just give me this. Isn't that stupid YMCA ban? Oh, I'm not even going to get that from the guy. All right, Andrea, you go.
It's completely stupid.
Thank you.
It's insane. And you brought up the gay culture. You know what's happening, Bill, is because of this hypersensitivity, the PC police by the progressives, you end up having this identity politics that's actually pitting these progressive groups against each other. So the Village People are an original celebration of gay culture in New York. So that's my question to you.
Is what?
You're stifling a band that celebrates the gay culture in New York.
In that context.
No, this is ridiculous.
In that context.
No, this is so ridiculous.
In Minnesota, in New York, or in Hawaii, if you want to see.
You can reply. Go ahead.
College campuses, Bill, are supposed to be a celebration of multiculturalism, right? They tell us we're supposed to celebrate diversity, right? All these different cultures. Then when we try to, we are called bigots and racists. If we guacamole on Cinco de Mayo, we're racist.
Look,
but they're
first of all,
actually eating their own.
If you know anything about Village People, it was a marketing ploy to the gays. It's just like, you know, there's a marketing ploy. Right. I went to high school with the motorcycle guy, and he was straight, all right? And, you know, come on, I know what that is. Now, here's the key question to you. You don't get this on the right. I looked, and I looked, and I looked, because there are loons on the right. There are, okay? Serious loons. But you don't get, you can't say this about that group unless you're talking about some commentator they like.
Yeah.
No, you can't say that about him. But in general, the conservative traditional point of view doesn't limit speech based on a certain group. Like, you're not going to hear Rush Limbaugh say you can't have a camel because it disparages middle.
Absolutely, you do, Bill.
When? Give me an example.
If you criticize Ronald Reagan or Christmas, the right will come down at you.
Christmas?
Yes, Christmas or Ronald Reagan.
Christmas is a day. It's not a group.
Your holy. It doesn't matter. That's a question of free speech.
But they're defending the attacks on it.
George W. Bush, Ronald Reagan, Christmas. You criticize any of these comments on the rest, the right will come down on you. And so the question is...
It's not the same thing, though. They're not, the conservatives are not saying you can't talk about Christmas. They don't want you to ban it. So
they don't want you to criticize it.
Do you know anything on the right that they ban? Is there anything you can't talk about if you're conservative? No. The Klan, Nazis?
No, we actually allow debate. We actually foster...
See, I think that's right, though.
There's
debate.
It's not a question of debate.
All of this PC stuff's coming from the left.
I just want to know what are the rules. If you're black, you can only criticize the black family. If you're a female, you can only criticize the female. Because that's what I get.
It's not about debate. These kids in North Dakota were simply saying, with our taxpayer dollars, we don't care to celebrate the holiday this way. Whether I agree or disagree with it. Not the holiday.
They don't want to sing YMCA at a concert because the guy dresses up like an Indian? That's insane.
I'm not there. But the point is, it's not about criticizing the boy. It's always about... Today we had the police chief of Wolfboro use racial slurs against Obama.
And he got to be held accountable.
That's totally different. That's completely different. You can't lump them all. You can't lump them all together.
Folks are giving a pushback.
But I want to make it clear that any individual American like Sterling, and who does use disparaging language toward any minority group, has got to be held accountable. We're not. That's not what this is about. This is about insanity. All right, Andrea, you get the last word.
And in fact, the Village People said that they didn't want Donald Sterling playing the YMCA song at Clippers games. So you see identity politics. You guys are just attacking each other.
We're going to see the growth of conservative identity politics.
I just want to know.
The old conservative as a victim.
Bill, I just want to know what the rules are. Because
the rules are
I wish that the progressives would just tell us what's acceptable and what's not, instead of just blanket knee-jerking calling all of us racist and bigots when we're trying to be honest.
After they banned YMCA, that they let the kids sing Macho Man. No, they didn't. They didn't. They can't mention anything about the Village People. All right, thanks very much. We appreciate it.
Bill.
Next on the Rundown.